What's up, everybody? Welcome to Your Weed Stories on the Craft Growers Network. We're very excited today because today is another international edition. I was going to say our first, but our first international edition, of course, was with Sasha, our Slovenian hobbit, who now has become our co-host. And we reached out to Vincent because we heard that he's a really well known in Germany, and Germany is a place we're very interested in with the new cannabis laws that have taken place. So, Vincent, you can find him on Instagram at. I'm sorry, Vincent, I pulled it up and.
No, it's easy. Vince and Weed with two threes because of the censorship. But you find me on
Right.
YouTube,
So it's
Instagram.
VINCEANDW 33D. So instead of the
Yes.
E's, we have two threes. And then on YouTube, it's just Vincent Weed. And, for example, on YouTube, he's got 147,000 subscribers. And on Instagram, it's 33,000 subscribers. So lots of people want to hear what Vincent has to say, including us. And so, Vincent, welcome to our show, and tell us your weed story. Tell us how you began, and then we'll move forward to closer to today.
Thank you both for the invitation to your show. I came here as a guest today with no expectations, and you ask your guests for their story, and I'm completely unprepared. It will be from the bottom of my heart, and I got goosebumps. Thank you for the introduction. First of all, I see myself as a regular guy who loves cannabis. I don't claim that I'm a pro, but I would say I'm a student for lifetime who is curious and who is really thankful about what he was able to learn through cannabis, which my teachers never have been able to teach me. But maybe later a little bit more for that. Yeah, my story.
Well, let me just stop and tell you that you already fit in with us. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's exactly
Yes,
how
yes.
we try to be. We try to not have egos. I learn on every single podcast, from our guests. And yeah, I mean, like I said, you already fit right in with us.
Yeah, where did my way with cannabis started? For sure, I was a regular smoker, and during my time when I was in university, the quality of the German weed became so poor, and also the people were putting additives to bring more weight to the black market weed in Germany, with all different kinds, with sand, with crushed glass, with also with hairspray, and all really disgusting stuff. And this was a period where there was time where I had to write my exams, and I was smoking a little bit of weed, and I found a backseat. And I think also with this, a lot of people will relate their story. It's the same on my side. I'm nothing special. I found a backseat, and there was a plant, a regular house plant in my window, and I thought, okay, throw the seed in there. And keeping studying, and 3 days later I found something on the top of the soil layer, crying for help. And this was my life-changing moment. I did everything possible to give this small little plant everything I thought she would need to survive. I built from cardboard my first grow box. I went straight into the internet. During this time, social media was not existing. It was the time of the forums, the boards, and
When was this?
this was 2010, I think, 2009, 2010. And yeah, from what I learned in these forums, the people who welcomed me, also with the people who are a little bit grumpy because you asked the question the 100th time, but which people inspired me till today are the people who are the OGs or have been in these boards. And answering the questions of the beginner till today. Yeah, and I was so thankful for all this knowledge that, yeah, today, and we will talk about the path to where I'm standing today. This inspiration is keeping me every day educating the knowledge I never claim my own. It's knowledge which is there in the internet, great teachers, some personal teachers in my life, but also a lot of people who have been teaching the masses through the internet. And I'm one of the students, and just keeping this cycle alive and spreading all this knowledge. And yeah, this was the beginning of my path. So during study time, bad weed, starting to grow your own. Get goosebumps. So much happened during these years. Yeah.
So let me just ask a question. When you said that you were on the forums, it was 100% in English?
I was in German. There have been two boards, two forums in German. And for sure, ICMAC, one of the most important boards in my life, I would say. And in Germany, there have been two relevant forums. The one was called grower.ch for Swiss, because for the safety it was in Switzerland. Yeah, paranoia time. And the other one was called Hanfburg, Hemp Castle. And yeah, this have been the most influential boards. But like we talked before we started the podcast, I speak German, Spanish, and English. And during this time also the internet was so small compared to today that I was really absorbing the knowledge in 3 different languages. Guys, goosebumps, really, completely my whole body, because now that I'm talking, I get reminded of during this beginning times. And yeah, and this was the beginning, reading in 3 languages, absorbing everything about cannabis and starting to grow. And like I said, I start to learn so much about biology, chemistry, physics. And I have to say something. I was studying economics, but after this small little plant germinated in my garden and in the window, I studied cannabis by myself. I can claim that since 2010, I can say every day at least 1 to 2 hours reading and learning about this plant. This is my life.
Hey Vince, Vincent, do you know the Hamburg was created by a guy who is actually a German guy, was called Dr. Knospe.
Yeah, Dr. Knospe, rest in peace.
Yes, yes.
Really important. He died really early, and he also influenced with some of his genetics the German cannabis culture.
Yeah, it
He's
does.
well
And we still have some cuts. I mean, we have the Jagging cut, for example. You know that one, yeah. Jag Flash number 5 from Sensi Seeds. Yeah. And there is offsprings from that, which is Grüne Hessin, and then some guys did some pollination with that, because the Jagan was a producer, still is, yeah. But it's a little bit in the background today, because the American genetics now are more popular, but there is shops that still have these genetics, right? So the plant that Dr. Knospe put out still alive, is still around, Yeah, it's a building block.
The people are still requesting this cuts also in the shops in Austria, where they sell cuttings and all this stuff. And there is also from the older generations a lot of people who are now waiting to get their hands again on this genetics.
Mm-hmm. You know how I met Gaby? I met Gaby through the search for the chemdog. I was looking for the chemdog. It's because Gaby is directly related to giving it to other people who are now having it, and it's like the chemdog is a legend in USA. Yeah,
chemdog is one of the I say there are certain backbone genetics where you can see that so many other crosses have been created with that, and chem, unique flavor. Everybody who knows the original, who gets also blind his nose on a jar, immediately recognize the chem.
My theory is that all the OGs come from the chem, like not all, but it's really related to OG plants.
I can imagine.
The OG Kush that we first had It's like it has all chemdoc in behind of it. It's all chemdoc, and of course outcross and back crosses
Yeah.
but we are all on in this part, right?
Yeah,
Can you tell
beautiful.
me which place did you grow up in Germany? Where?
I am. I have been growing up in the north. I had my childhood was in Mexico because my dad worked there. But when we came back with 6 years, I was growing up in Braunschweig. This is also where I'm now. After living in a lot of different places in the world, I found my wife in my hometown visiting my parents, and yeah, now I'm back here. I started to grow at the northern coast in Germany, where I was studying really cold, wet climate, and I also immediately tried outdoor in all different grow styles. So yeah, I'm a Nordish guy in Germany.
Nordish by nature.
Yeah, exactly.
I have some friends in Germany, but they're both in Berlin.
Yeah, it's. I would also say Berlin is in the northern part of Germany, but they don't call themselves. I'm a Nordish person. Yeah, Braunschweig is like the last thing where you say I'm north. From there, it becomes the center of Germany.
So after this seed, so you started to realize genetics, right? You were searching for genes, right? After that, because
Yeah.
if it was a back seed, so after that, reading through the forums, you saw all of these strains, right? What was your first initial, search for which genetics have you been interested in the beginning?
Um, First of all, I was using a page which is till today one of the most important pages for research for genetic. It's called Seed Finder EU. Um, it's in different languages. I really can recommend to have a look because there you really can see where all the different lineages influenced the next genetics. And yeah, this was the time where Europe and the states have been still really separated from my today perspective. It was really the time where you could say European genetics and US or American genetics. And it have been really the time of the skunk, the outdoor genetic I was growing, Frisian dew. Really, it was the basic genetic stock still. Northern lights, haze, different types of haze, but I'm not the haze guy, to be honest. And yeah, it was really the beginning where I remember when I went on Seed Finder EU, I saw the number of how many strains have been listed on the platform. It was something around 7,500. So you have been it was still possible to get an overview, yeah, and then it came the time for me where I was traveling a lot of weekends to Amsterdam to go there to go to area to gray area and shops like that to get a glimpse of the genetics in which have been growing in the States, and it opened my whole perspective because now for sure both sides have access to both gene pools, but it's this was really a time where it still was separated. And I remember my first time being in Amsterdam and smelling some real orange terps with the influence of crooked with the tangy with was a cross which DNA made tangy with kosher kush. So I was a kosher kush lover, and then somebody told me there is something, it tastes like orange. I went to Amsterdam. I went to the first Hulp, which somebody told me there you find the 24K. I remember my moment where I got my nose into this bag and it was really, bro, this is orange. It's not lemon. It's the first time strict orange. And smoking this, completely freaking out and straight. I remember how I asked, how do I get the seeds? And then I had to walk from the bottom of Amsterdam to the left side to the DNA genetics shop. And I bought the pack of seeds and I went home and I selected my own first 24K gold in the tangy direction. Yeah, this was my time where I really started to combine both worlds of European and the States, and yeah, crazy time. And yeah, and then it for me, like you said that the Cham genetic is such a important backbone. Yeah, I remember then when the first rumors of the cookies genetics came to Europe, and everybody was asking what is going on, low yielder, crazy terps. And before, I have to say that the European genetics, also AK-47, all the stuff, big bud, orange bud, they have been also a little bit more on the yield side. It was more during this time that for me, I started to grow because I wanted to grow my own supply, but I wasn't completely into the world of terps. This started, like I said, in Amsterdam when I had the possibility to get a broader palette of terps, and it was more for big yielder. But this changed completely then when the cookies genetics came over to Europe, and I have to say I was hunting because I wasn't that well connected. I was hunting the cookie genetics like 2.5 years. I smoked it in gray area, but I didn't get my hands on a cut or a German grower who was growing this. And yeah, this changed everything. I would say that the cookie genetics brought me to understand that I will also sacrifice yield for better taste. And this was a huge shift in my perspective on growing cannabis. And from there, it really started that I wanted to know everything.
You know, that is a really important thing that you said now, because it's still today like that. It's you have these old cuts, like you said, Big Bot, White Widow, AK-47s, Critical Plus, all these cuts, and then you have, for example, all the American cuts now, Apple Banana, Ice Cream Runs, Detroit Runs, you know, all kind of Skittles crosses, and this is exactly the term. What we first started to see was the yield was lower. Yeah, the bots were harder, heavier, but there was not so much yield. So everybody was on yield in the beginning. In Holland, everything was bred for yield. You know,
black market.
Not,
it had to be efficient, a lot of money turnover. So
yeah. But now the story changed, right?
Yeah,
I think there's something else that could have influenced that. For instance, and I don't know about Germany, but I want to ask, but in Holland, they all mix tobacco with their weed, right? Or they did, right? So when you're mixing tobacco with your weed, then all of a sudden the way it tastes doesn't matter so much. And, you know, I'd like to say what, you know, my feelings on it, and what I always mention to my Dutch friends is, you know, you have this beautiful plate of food. It's like if you have a beautiful plate of food, you go to a nice restaurant, beautiful plate of food, and you take a shit on it before you eat it. You know, and so, and you know, the few friends that I have from Germany, and I'm not in contact with them as much anymore, but they all used to mix tobacco with their weed too.
So me too. A lot of, or I would say the main part of my stoner life, but it changed. I am now, since 1 year, I stopped to smoke tobacco. I really went to vaping and dabbing, and I also combustion is still something. I call it. It's a social thing with the right guys, with the right. It has to be. I don't. If it's the really the best weed and the right person, I will smoke a joint with him. But I have to be truthful, since I'm vaping and dabbing so much, combustion became really wow. And now I have a completely new relationship with cannabis. I never thought it. I call it. It's like I've been married 25 years smoking. Yeah, I've been married with cannabis. It already have been normalized. We talk to each other, but we don't really pay attention. And after I stopped smoking tobacco and I really reduced combustion to 2 to 3% of my consumption, my relationship with cannabis is completely different. I don't want to tell the people don't smoke with tobacco. Everybody in Europe has his his own story. And yeah, the culture of smoking with tobacco is still big, but it's a shift there. The people, because now they are really starving for quality, and the understanding for pure smoke is really growing also. And we will also later talk about the new situation in Germany with the decriminalization. For me, my mission is, and this is really good that I stopped smoking that much a year ago, is now that I also can tell the people, as not telling them what to do, showing them how I consume. And I'm telling the people, if you are a first-time user now because you as a consumer are legal, please try not to burn, use vapes and dabs, and stay away from burning if you never have been smoking. So this is my approach at the moment. But for sure, I also burn some good pure joints and donuts with my friends sometimes. Yeah.
You know, we say that we don't want to be influencers. We want to be inspirers.
Educators and inspiring the people.
Okay.
Exactly. I know that the biggest shift you can create in other people is not telling them what to do. Living, in Germany we say, lebe es ihnen vor. Live it and show them. And the effect is much bigger and also have a much longer effect on the people. And I can tell you something. I'm streaming also on Twitch, and we have like 500 people in average in the stream. And I was using here a ball vape. Yeah, I have been a pipe smoker, and this device changed my life because I can smoke still, or I can vape a pipe with a huge impact. But I call it's vegan smoking. Yeah. So, and in my chat, so many people are writing me that they stopped smoking tobacco. It's life changing. And then I read that they are nearly quitting combustion, it's crazy. Really, it's all about a healthy relationship with this plant, and this is part of it.
So I have a question and a comment about that. First, I'll give you the comment. So I also predominantly vape now. And the reason why is because, and so in the past, I'd wake up in the morning and I would roll 10 joints. Okay? And I had a case that would hold 5 joints. And so I had 2 of them. So I could leave with 10 joints. And, I'd probably smoke 5 to 7 of them, but I always had a couple extra in case I'm with other people. When I share weed, I don't want to share mouth to mouth. To me, it's mostly unnecessary. Like if we were going to have a beer, we wouldn't buy one beer and share it, right? There's an abundance. And so, where I'm coming from, there's such an abundance of weed. Why would we ever share a joint? Why don't I just give you a joint? I smoke a joint. So I used to have 10 joints a day, and I smelt like an ashtray everywhere that I went. And honestly, I was young, and I didn't give a shit. It's like I didn't care. But now thinking about it, it's like I kind of smell pretty dirty. Just like always smelling like a roach. Not even smelling of fresh weed, right? Fresh weed smells beautiful. Your ashtray, not so much, right?
No.
And I had tried vape carts, but they were all shitty, because they're all distillate, with a little bit. Yeah. And back then it was distillate, and they would flavor it with terps that weren't even cannabis, right?
Yeah.
But then I discovered something, and I discovered fresh frozen sauce terps. Okay, so you know what sauce is, right?
Yeah. Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Germany is now, this is the most important thing. Look, the good thing is that technology is so far ahead now that really the end consumer, the home grower, can buy these cartridges. And the good thing is, and this is really changing the whole game, that even high quality flower rosin is able now to, with this I don't know to say this in English, there is no coil anymore, it's ceramic. Yeah. So my community is really making their own pans, and it's completely different to what you told before the distillate. So yeah, I understand your approach completely.
So, uh, to so this is sauce terps, and for those that don't know, when they make sauce or diamonds with butane, and this was made with fresh frozen flour, but when they make it with butane, in the process, the THC falls to the bottom, and the terpenes will rise to the top. And so the terpenes on the top are so valuable that what they do is they pour it off. Okay, and nowadays when you buy a cart and it's flavored with terpenes like this, sauce terps, they'll put a small percentage in, right? Because they just want to add flavor. And I buy the terps straight, and I should go and grab a jar and or a couple of jars and show you. No, it's okay. Go say hello. Yeah. I fill these carts with straight sauce terps. Now, the regular carts that are available at a dispensary are maybe like 85% THC because they're made with either distillate or now they melt the diamonds and turn the diamonds into something that can be consumed in here. But this has about 40% THC, maybe 50. But the terpenes are through the roof, like 15%, right? So I smoke this because the way it tastes is just so good.
I can tell you something.
Go ahead.
2012, look, 2009, 2010, it started with growing, and immediately the curiosity for all around this plant and culture started to grow, and also for dabbing. 2010, 2012, the time Titan needles, glass dome with glass needle. This time of dabbing, and BHO, and I went to a really good extraction artist, a really good extractor in Berlin, 2012, because I wanted to taste the first time BHO from somebody else, not my own, just to see where I am. And he told me when I arrived, do you want a small one or do you want a Big Mac, a big dab? And I said a big one. And he told me, I have to tell you something. I smoked so many extracts that I lost my passion and taste for flower. And I will give you one advice. Don't consume so much extracts that you lose your passion for flower. And since 2012, this is in my head. And I'm really thankful. This gave me, because I have ADHD and sometimes you go crazy with this handicap or with this superpower, and especially sometimes you go crazy with consumption. But this was the best advice. Because I love this plant so much and the flower, till today, I never got into this situation because I have his voice till today in my mind. So it's really important that we talk about something like that, because people who start with consuming extracts, they have to be aware of that. And what I do is, I'm a medical patient but also a recreational user. And how do I differentiate? During the week, I have to function really good. And there my approach or my goal is to have a level of cannabinoids in my system which let me be relax with my movement but clear my head. And for that, it's less than I thought the first years of being medical user. And the dabbing extracts is something I take for the weekend. It's, for me, for sure, everybody, I know people who can handle it really well and smoke every day a little bit of dab, one dab or two dabs, but I know I like the taste too much. So for me, it's really something when Friday or Saturday or Sunday, this is my dabbing time, then I have the headspace to enjoy and to get into the artwork of extracts I'm consuming in this moment. And this is a good way.
Mm-hmm. Very smart.
And so during the week, you're vaping flower.
Yeah, vaping
you're not smoking.
strictly. Yeah, no
I
smoking
do want to
anymore.
see the tools that you use.
So give me a second. I have a lot in
Okay.
my at
Go
home.
go take a second and find it, and I'm gonna go bring some extract to show you as well.
Yeah, please.
Alrighty, Vincent. First, I want you to show us your tools that you use to smoke out of
Yeah,
or
I
vape.
at the moment I'm using 3 different devices. One is at home. First of all, I use a ball vape with a rig or with a pipe. Like I said, I was 25 years pipe smoker, and this really changed everything. Why? Because you have such a huge heat retention capacity, and also with the balls which are inside of this coil, you bring in one hit the whole heat onto the material. And this what I at the beginning, why I never started to vape, was I hate 7 minute sessions to get out all the ingredients of a little bit of weed. But in the moment I found Dynavap or a ball vape, or also this electronic vape. And why is it this one? Because usually till I would say 2 years ago, all the electronic devices also just went to 210 Celsius. I don't know in Fahrenheit. And this one can go to 240, so really close to combustion. And to be true, for me, it's more, okay, it's also the studies that if you vape that high, also some cancer causing ingredients can occur. But for me, it's even better. It's better to burn than burning and smoking bushfire. This is how I feel at the moment when I'm smoking too much. Than vaping on a really high temperature. And also the Dynavap is for me the joint I smoke, and this is my pipe I used to smoke. Yeah, and with that I'm completely satisfied.
And so
Really.
the thing that you have that has a cord on it, that's the heating element. You don't put the weed in here, right?
No, you put the weed in here, and you see it's nearly burning. I am the guy who vapes really high temperature, and here's just missing so I put my finger on here, and then the heat comes through, and yeah, you have it's a thermal extraction device, yeah, and the difference to the older devices that these devices I'm using have the capability of extracting quick, and this gives you, and also build up big clouds, and this gives you the satisfying pressure on the lung, and also the quick feeling of the effect of the cannabinoids and the terpenes and the esters and everything in your head. Yeah, it's not okay. We have to wait, and this changed everything for me. So I don't have to wait, which was usually with the old vape devices, which with my ADHD I'm impatient. So
And does that thing heat up quickly? Or
yeah,
does it take
3 minutes with this one. So it's really, I know that I need some medication in the office, then I press my button, I let it heat up. And at home I also use all different kinds. I'm a traditional dabber with torch, and now there are different ways to use still your quartz banger without a torch. And really, this is my way. When I'm on the go, I prefer some digital press the button devices from different companies. And when I'm home, I really like to sit down, because for me, extracts is something special. In Germany, we don't have a market till now. So when you are in touch with other extraction artists, or you get your hands on certain batches, for me, rosin is an art. And I take it seriously with functional art and consuming art through a piece of art. So the way that how an extract comes into my hands means somebody have been selecting a genetic, growing it, washing it, pressing it, and curing it. So I get a piece of art, and then I take also at the weekend my time to consume it through a nice piece, and yeah, to be with it.
Yeah, I hear what you say. Like to make the best rosin, it definitely takes a little bit more of a, as you said, artistic touch than with butane, for instance. With butane, it's about, following this process, which is, it's science.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you for breaking out your tools, because I'm interested, because I want to vape more flower. Because
Okay, I have to tell you something. Okay. Why a ball vape is really building a wave at the moment in Germany. I tell you something I never thought I will be able to say. With such a device, and please don't look at me with the big pipe, this is my tool here. Go with a small rig, yeah? You can use it with a regular or a little bit bigger rig. And you will experience weed on a taste level close under maybe 0.5 away with a gap to extracts, to the I would say, okay, flower rosin. I know in the States that people say flower rosin, what is that? But in Germany you have to understand we have a huge home grow culture, and the people saw extracts on Instagram, and they wanted to have their hands on their own rosin. So the quickest way to educate the people is flower rosin, and then showing them how to wash hash, and then they never do flower rosin again. But what I want to say, okay, flower rosin is just a small gap to this with 0.4 grams of weed in this bowl. You will call me and tell me, what? Vaping is so tasteful? Why? Because here you can put a lot of flour in, and like I said, the first hit is really all the terpenes, and nearly, not all, but a huge amount of cannabinoids get evaporated, and you get the taste on your lips, no combustion. I'm really an advocate for ball vaping. Really, from the bottom of my heart, I love this device.
You see, when we talked about how I get inspired every show, you're inspiring me to go out and buy a ball vape, because I don't have one, and I do enjoy flower too.
You will love it.
Yeah, and so now when to give you an example, when I dab, I like to do it at a very low temperature, because a dab.
Which is your temperature?
So honestly, I use a torch.
Yeah.
But I like to do a cold start.
Perfect.
Okay, and I pretty much don't let it get that hot. Like it'll stop smoking, before I'm even done hitting it. I don't like when you get that giant dab and it's just it chokes you. And you were gonna tell your story about your first dab, and then I think it got interrupted by yourself. I think you but I want to tell you. But hold on, I want to tell you quickly. So when I did my first dab, my friend gave me diamonds, and it seemed like the tiniest little bit on this thing. And when I did the dab, I literally thought I was gonna pass out. I was dizzy. I mean, I had to sit down. That never happens from weed, So, and when I dab, I also want a tiny, tiny little dab, because I just want to taste it. I know I'm gonna get high no matter what, because the concentration is. I don't need these. When I see these videos of people doing giant dabs, I'm like, what the heck? It's like, for me, I just want the tiniest little. It can never be too small. Really?
Yeah, I get it.
Just a little bit.
I also
go ahead
prefer,
and tell us your dab story.
Yeah, I also prefer to, on a sesh, or to enjoy a few more dabs, because I want to experience the different flavors. So I'm also my first dab is something I don't do with first timers. So I really have a mission when on events in Germany, or I try to give people their first dab, because I would love to give them a beautiful experience, so that they advocate for it, and they don't fear high potency and passing out. We will come to this right now, but I think this is the better way. I became older, and I like that the people say to others, oh, this was nice, and it was not overwhelming. Yeah. So my first dab from a different person in Berlin, I said I want a Big Mac, so I got a Big Mac, and I had the same experience like you. I felt like I had a board nailed on my face, and I had to walk through whole Berlin to the place where I was staying. And I said to myself, okay, that was crazy, and nothing I need in my daily life. Big dabs can be funny, but yeah, the right occasion. And like I said, till today, it's in my mind. But what happened also when I met this grower, I got in Berlin in touch with new genetics. He gave me some cuts. Big Buddha blue cheese, goosebumps. Wow, what a genetic. And I brought him some cuts, and this was the first time starting to live culture, not just in the internet, really to meet people that they trusted you to let you come home to share genetics, and from there everything evolved. 2012 also Instagram became bigger and bigger, and now some things change in my life because you asked at the beginning for my story. 2012, 2013, Instagram became also in Germany so important for the cannabis culture, and it's a pity that we have so many problems with this network, because I started to network with the whole world. My alias was German Gardener. I still have this account, and this is really my private grower account. And what I did with this account was to honor the people who gave me all the knowledge on the forums. I just transferred the knowledge to social media really early, 2012, 2013. So this was a really important period of my time, because just by keeping the cycle alive of all I learned to share with other people on social media, I built my network, and I also got into a position where I was not the biggest, but one of the Instagram accounts in Germany who have been known for educating others and showing them how to extract, how to wash, all this stuff. And this is the how you say that in English, the base for what I'm doing today, to educate and to make my living also legally since nearly 6 years, long time before legalization, decriminalization, to bring food on the table for my family with cannabis. For sure, I was growing also, and I have also my backstories in the black market. And I remember also 2013, I got, how you call it, when I got robbed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there was nothing I could do. And I knew that the money also have been spent, and I had to take the decision: do you want satisfaction or do you want to continue life? Satisfaction would to break some bones. No, that's not me. I love the plant. Yes, I was selling, but it was to bring good weed to the people, and I never saw myself as a criminal. I think in the cannabis industry we know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I saw myself more as a caregiver, making money. But if there come this criminal stuff into it, I was immediately out, and I told myself, fuck, so much money, but there must be a way to earn this legally with cannabis one day, not in the moment. And this thought kept going and going in my head. And 2014-15, it started that medical marijuana in Germany became a bigger thing. That the first patients got, from 2009 it started, but in my awareness, it started 2012, 13, that I saw more patients popping up, but really fighting hard in front of a court to get the right to get from the Netherlands, Bedrocan, really shitty weed. And there was one case where you have to, this is such a funny story. So there was a patient, and he got busted with weed. And he said, I claim this as my right as a patient because the German healthcare system doesn't provide cannabis to me. And it's, how you say that, if I don't get my medicine, it's like...
Unconstitutional.
Yeah, it it's like hurting me. And if before, I don't know. There, my English is not good enough. He called it his right. So then he got a case in front of the court, and the judge said something which was written in an article which made me click. Yeah, it was, okay, I have to give you, as one of the first patients in Germany, the right to grow your own, because in this room there is no other expert knowing more about this plant than you. Why? Because when they busted him, they found his grower diary with everything written down, which crop, which plant, how many days, how much amount, blah, blah, blah. And the judge said, I have to admit that in this room there is no other expert than you. So you are really, really ill and sick, and you need this as medicine, and the German healthcare system isn't capable of providing you that. But I give you some rules, and they will make it impossible for you. This was, he said, you are allowed to grow, you are the expert, but you have to have a half-meter thick concrete walls. You need a safety class 5 door, like a pharmacy. So the judge immediately made it impossible, but he gave him the right. And for me, this story said to me, if you show people, also if you are a criminal, that you have been growing weed and you love this plant and you can educate about them, when it becomes legal, you have some, like a record, yeah? And this is why I intensified my work on social media, because I told myself, one day people will ask where you know all this from, and then you can say, I have been on the internet and sharing the love for the plant since years, and this is why I am Vincent Weed. So what happened? I became patient, and it was the not the cruelest, it was one of the hardest decisions of my life. 2016, I started to go for the papers to become a legal cannabis patient. 2017, the law changed. And it became much easier to become a medical cannabis patient. Not easy, easier. And I said, okay, with my doctor, we will take the approach with the new law. And my wife told me, I still was growing, and I became patient, and the weed was shitty from the pharmacy. I couldn't consume this weed. So I was still growing. And then 2018, there was a company. The company was called Sense Media, the first German media house for cannabis content, with a magazine, with YouTube channels, with events, no legalization. But the investors gambled and said, if we build up a media company and we will legalize one day, then we have all the assets we need to promote our products. This was the goal of the company. And they came to me and they asked me, because there have been some role models in the German and also international YouTube space which have been teaching me to grow cannabis. And they found out that I have this Instagram about teaching the German community about growing. And they asked me, do you want to show face on one of a YouTube channel we want to build up with you and educate the Germans? And I had to take the decision to stop growing my weed, because my wife told me, when you show face, no plants in our house. If you want to go this path, you have to go with the medicine, also if it's shitty from the pharmacy, and then you can live your dream and earn money legally with cannabis. And I said, okay. I slept a few nights and I said, okay, I will stop growing for a certain period of time, some years, become a patient with, this was the difference also. I also became, this is something crazy, I went in front of the court to get the right that my health insurance company have to pay for my cannabis. It's really hard to get this status in Germany, and I got the status.
Can't get it here.
No.
Actually, that's not true. I think there was like 3 or 7 people in the U.S.
Yeah.
that get like weed. They get joints every month from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
University of Kentucky or something like that.
Yeah,
but it's
but
like
those
the
joints,
ultimate
man,
rare thing.
it is
Yeah.
the hay wheat, like Bedrock you told before. There is one patient that comes. They lives in Germany, but he comes year after year. He comes in July, August on holidays back to Slovenia. So I met him, and this guy has Bedrock wheat, and it was like I opened the box, and it was smelling like hay. All of the strains have the smell, taste, no aroma
They are
at all.
radiated.
That's absolutely kill. Yeah, man. Yeah, they're like
That-
brownish. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy.
this I had to smoke radiated weed the first 2.5 years, 3 years of being a patient and not growing anymore. And this was the start where 7 years ago I showed face, and I have to say how it is. There have been people walking the path on legalized movement and being real activists long before me. I'm just a regular dude, like I said at the beginning, who through his passion became into a situation where he could start to live a dream he never thought he will have, to show face for cannabis education. By that, I also took the responsibility with the growing reach I got. I never will say I'm an activist, but I support every German activist with my reach. So for sure, I took the responsibility, and I started to make YouTube videos about growing, and also using my reach to tell the people to go to demonstrate. And I took also that I went also to the demonstrations, because there are a lot of, I call them influencers, I call me an educator, but go to this demonstration, but you don't see them there. And I told you how I work. I don't tell the people what to do. I do it by myself, and by that I try to pull them with me. And this is from the beginning. I was showing face. I went to the demos and the demonstrations, and I told them go there, and I have been also with them there, so that I could claim the next time, where have you been? Yeah. And I never would say I'm an activist, but I take the responsibility which also comes with the reach. And so I'm more an educator and show the people my path with growing cannabis, and for sure also showing face for the legalized movement. This is a part of the job, I call it, really. And yeah, now I'm making 7 years YouTube. The company which hired me went bankrupt. They didn't pay my salary from a half year of work. And now you have to imagine, I went home, I told my wife, I don't have a job anymore. The story is a little bit longer, but I make it, in this case, a little bit shorter. Was completely depressed, because you have to imagine there's no legalization at the horizon. I had my job in the cannabis market legally, earning food for my family, and then I had to quit by myself the job, and then a few weeks later they got bankrupt. And I told my wife, do you know something? I think I will make it by my own. And she told me, are you fucking crazy? If this big company doesn't get it to make it profitable, how do you want to make it profitable? And I told her, I studied economics and I have a plan and I know exactly how it will work. And yeah, I started a new channel, and I had to find a name. The first channel is called Growers Life. The company didn't want to sell it to me during this time. I have it now as a backup, but I had to find a name, and I was sitting with my wife in the kitchen and brainstorming a few days, let it sit and brainstorming. And then I had some weed on my hoodie, and my wife took it away, and she said, everywhere where you are, there is weed. And I said, yeah, Vince and Weed. And she said, yeah, that's your name. And yeah, then I started my YouTube channel, which I have today, and I never thought that I will grow that big, and I'm really thankful. I love my community. They make that possible. I have to work for it, for my dream, but they make it possible. They watch my videos, and
well, since you have great humility, I want to give you a compliment that that you'll never say. Did I mention earlier in the show who it was that recommended that we reach out to you?
Yeah, you said it to me privately, and it
Yeah.
was goosebumps moment.
Jorge Cervantes. So when Jorge Cervantes says, "Yeah, you got to speak to Vincent Weed," that means you must be doing something right.
He
And
was one
so-
of my teachers without knowing it, and I had the
All of ours.
I told him, I had a phone call 1 hour with him a few months, and I said, Jorge, muchas gracias. Thank you very much for teaching me.
Just released our episode with him, and I encourage everybody to go back to this video where it said, "Hey, look, I want this video to be a place where people thank Jorge." Because he has inspired us all. The first book I owned was his book. Actually, I bought two at the same time. It was his book, and then
And Ed.
The Closet Cultivator by Ed Rosenthal.
Yeah.
Because those were the two books that were available at the bookstore that I went to. So
During our time, there have been books giving around copied. Yeah.
yeah.
Crazy
So
time.
all those people owe Jorge Cervantes $20, and they should mail it to P.O. Box. He also told a funny story that people would steal his book because they were scared to buy it.
Same on my
They were
side.
scared to go to the cash register to buy it.
My first 3 years of indoor growing, I never put one step into a grow hydro store because I was so paranoid. The police is standing outside. They are filming everybody. They will come to my home. They will no. So everything I bought was from Home Depot, and we have like I don't know the word where you buy all the building materials. Yeah.
Home Depot.
Is it
Hardware
Home
store.
Depot? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was really Home Depot, and giving money to a friend who isn't growing to buy the only piece I couldn't buy, which was the active carbon filter.
So similar to your story, I was a grower, and I was offered a job at a hydro shop, at a grow shop. And the plan was to work there for a year so I could establish some credit, buy a home, and then quit, go back to growing. Because when I was growing, I couldn't get a loan to buy a house, But when I started working there, I realized how much I love talking about cannabis and teaching people about cannabis. And so what I didn't tell you was when I took the job at the grow shop, I shut down my garden as well.
Yeah.
For many years. Eventually I started up again. But for many years I stopped growing because it was just, I was out there right in front of everything.
Exactly.
And I felt that it was too risky for me to grow. And
I also was working before I had this job as a content creator. This is why I made this story shorter. Yeah, it was really.
you don't need
the
to make the
scale.
story short.
No, okay.
We like
so
the long
now,
story.
but it's really the student starting to grow, having a few years of experience, getting home to my hometown to finish my study with the final paper I had to write. And during this time, I was looking for a job, and yeah, I got my first. Then I went into the hydro store and I bought stuff there, and they knew me and I gave them weed. You know the story.
Was that in
under
Berlin?
No, in Braunschweig, here in my hometown.
Oh, there's one there too.
Yeah, and then I asked, hey, when you have a job, please call me, yeah? And then it came that one had to leave and a spot was free and behind the counter selling, and I immediately took this opportunity. I made it, I was nearly 2 years in this hydro store, and this was the base. After reading and growing by myself, I'm starting to build setups for the people, and there was two options. They came back and told me, what the fuck you have been selling me there? It's rubbish, it doesn't work. Or they came back and said, here's the same amount of budget, I need the same stuff again because the good thing is that I had each product in my hand from this market. Each fan, each filter, each fertilizer went through my hands. I asked my boss, he gave me the opportunity to test everything I wanted because he knew when I know something, I can sell it better. And this 2 years, selling and getting feedback from the growers, which products are good or bad or don't work together, this was the baseline. And after that, I like I said, I studied economics. I went into the management of a shop, grow shop. I had the deal that after a few years, I own 50% with milestones, which would pay out 5% of the company, 5% so that I reach 15. He wanted me because I had the idea. I never thought that I will make YouTube, but I told him I can, and I am good on Instagram. And if I make a YouTube channel for our shop, we can upsell even better. This was 2017, yeah. And then he absorbed all my knowledge. I wrote down like plans how to educate the sellers, which products to sell to a beginner, to advanced, or to a pro. We had different strategies. And 6 days before the contract would start to work, that he can't move back, he fired me.
Oh.
And this is the way, yeah. It's all the time that my life, my steps I had to do to become where I am today was all the time kicking me in my stomach and testing me if I really want to work legally with cannabis. And I said all the time, yeah, I will find my way. So again, this was also something. I came home to my wife and she said, what's going on? In 5 days is Christmas. We have New Year's Eve. You lost your job. You lost your shares of this company. He kicked you right before everything would unredoable. He kicked you out. And then the next time was when I lost my job because the company get bankrupt. So I had many times where I get a huge setback and had to explain my whole family in a non-existing legalization on the horizons that I still will work in this market. So it was driven by passion and never by money. Yeah. And then I said, okay, let's start a YouTube channel by my own. You are crazy. I convinced her, and now I said, okay, how can I start that? And there are, in the German system, if you have been working, you get money. I don't know how you call that in the States. Yeah, unemployment. Yeah. So, and when you are in the system, they also have programs where where you can write a business plan, and when they see a potential, they don't force you to find a new job. They give you a half-year support that you can start this job, because then they get you out of the system, yeah, of the unemployment system. And I wrote a business plan. I make it long story short. I want to become a content creator for cannabis. I have seen in my old company that we can make this amount of money with that many output of videos. I can earn that much amount of money. And the woman I presented the business plan, she was completely she didn't know how to work with it, because the business plan was good. I studied economics, but the topic was completely crazy. She said, okay, we have to change something. You cross out all the word cannabis and you don't talk about the market, and I will get this somehow done for you, approved. And I'm so thankful.
So that you did.
I got a supportive 1,500 euros for 6 months.
Fuck, man.
So I could focus on building the YouTube channel 5 years ago.
Great, man.
And yeah, it worked. So I got support from the German government to build a cannabis business long before legalization. So and
that's such a great story. I wish I could like be a fly on the wall looking at that lady when she's reading your proposal. And the only thing, it makes me a little sad that they made you take out the cannabis, but I'm glad that you got it. That's what's
Gaby,
most important.
Gaby,
was that they gave
not
you the
even
money.
Man, not even seeds were allowed at that time. You know, in Europe, all Europe was seeds you could sell, but
to speak was allowed.
To speak was allowed, yeah.
Right.
know.
So to speak, he wasn't doing anything illegal by talking about it, by being an
No.
advocate for it.
No,
you know?
there is something. There is something. As a
ahead.
YouTuber, since as the first 6.5 years, now we have the decriminalization, I had to be so careful what I said and how. I I explained you how I made my content and what wasn't allowed. I wasn't allowed to say you have to take the plant and cut it and place it and dunk it and put in and wait. Because then I was giving a straight advice to the viewer of the video. I had really to be strict with, if you take a cutting, the process the process of taking a cutting is to take a mother plant, to cut it like this, to dip it, to put it. And I had to put a disclaimer. And really, my team behind me at the first YouTube channel, they taught me to be really, really careful with my wording, because the government could watch my video and say, okay, he is giving advice to be conspiracy. Exactly. It was crazy.
Conspiracy, I mean, it's not... Conspiracy laws, whether in the U.S. or in other countries, are just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, when you're not actually... You know, because conspiracy means, like, we're working together to do something bad, right? But you're not conspiring with people that you never actually met or talked to. You know, you were educating, but
yeah, I was helping
crazy.
For sure, but
you know, it was the same thing here again in the grow shops. You weren't allowed to talk about weed.
no.
You know, they would always say that it was a tomato, or I shouldn't. You know, that changed when I had my grow shop. Eventually, things changed because medical marijuana became legal, and so we became much more open about talking. But when I used to go to a grow shop, the mere mention of cannabis would get you thrown out.
Exactly.
You know,
I was throwing out people as an employee, and each time we had like this discussions in the team when somebody came in and he was like really penetrant with asking these questions, and we, is he a cop?
Yeah. It was, you know, it was considered illegal to sell something to someone that you knew was gonna do something illegal.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, I guess the same thing still applies for other things, like if you go to a drugstore and, you know, you're buying, you know, Sudafed every day, then they might stop you because they think that you're making drugs or something like that. But yeah, you know, when you tell your stories, and I had the same situation with Sasha, they're so similar. You know, I have similar stories, and I won't tell them now, about how partners were giving me equity and then ripped me off and stuff like that. And it's just amazing to me that, you know, 7,000 miles away, however far you guys are, the stories are all the same. Sometimes it happens at a different time, but you know, the similarities are incredible. And are your videos still online? Those early videos of you teaching people how to make clones? Well, I encourage anyone that speaks German to check it out. I'm gonna try to check it out without speaking German, but yeah, that's great.
Yeah, the beautiful thing to come into the presence is that like I said, I stopped growing. My passion, my system was crying, get your hands on. For sure, I never let the contact to the plant occur completely. I still was doing, which was risky, but not that risky. Still was making consulting. I went into the gardens. I helped the people. So in, out.
I wanted to ask you about that when you talked about when you become a medical patient that you had to start smoking really bad weed, but you didn't have friends that could hook you up.
Yeah, for sure, but for sure, 100%. But it was like, this was my status, and I had to buy the weed at the beginning, 1,200, 1,500 euros a month, the gram priced by 22, 25 grams, shitty dead weed. And then, for sure, friends of mine, and also through the consulting, I got my good quality top shelf weed, but I couldn't rely on it, and I couldn't buy it because I had to spend it to get my card and to show that I buy my weed. This was the problem. I had to show that I buy it every month. Yeah.
If you didn't buy enough, they would say you don't need as much.
Yeah, then they would say, okay, you got the recipe for your medical, and now you are buying it or growing it. And this was important. And this is why I went to the court and said, also, I am a patient with ADHD, and you have to pay my medical amount. But in the time where I was working in the grow shop, I got to know I said I was finishing my papers for study, my last paper, and I was here in my hometown where my family is. I got to know my wife. We were dating. And I went a lot of times to other cities, and in the moment I went to the train station in my city, cell phone, battery out, SIM card out. I placed it into a Faradelic cage. It was called Stalin. And then I went for 2-3 days into some grow operations where I helped the people really to dial in crops, not crop steering this time. This was not the term, but training, maximizing yields, building up SOPs in the early days. And I've been in the grow ops 3 days, just ordering pizza, don't leaving the house, and completely shut down. And I met my wife, and we were dating. And then I said, okay, I have to go to a job, and I'm not reachable for 3 days. And she asked me what I do, and I told her what I'm doing because I trusted her. And she said, okay. And then I went to one consulting and the next one. And she was the first girl during this time. I was dating with a lot of girls. She wasn't questioning what I do 3 days without being reachable on my phone number. And I came home, and after a few jobs, I asked myself, I asked her, I feel that you don't have this question. She never gave me this feeling. Yeah. And I said, I have to marry you. Yeah, because she was totally down with that. And I don't have, till today, in this cases, I never had headache when I told her I'm 3 days away. She never asked if I'm doing stuff with other girls during this time. Never. And she never gave me this feeling. So I had to ask her if she will become my Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah. So also through
Very
cannabis.
nice one. Yes.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that you shared that story.
Yeah.
So actually, because you know why? Because you are doing it with the heart. It's a heart thing for you. That's why you're so determined to do it all the time.
Yeah.
From all the beginning. Like all of us are actually. We all have the same problem. All of us. We are infested. We have this virus, cannabis virus inside of us. Like cannot stop that. Like just leave it there. Vincent, I would be really interested in can you tell us a little bit about the transition, from the time that the total illegal, and now all the world is thinking like it's legalized, but I know it's decriminalized. Yeah. Can you explain a little bit from your perspective what is going on in Germany right now?
Yeah. This is exactly where I wanted to continue. So I said, and now you know how I met my wife, also through cannabis. Definitely taking the decision to marry this woman. And then I was making YouTube. I wasn't growing. I told you I stopped growing for showing face. And then the 1st of April last year, we got a decriminalization. It was a fucking hard battle. And it's far away from being a perfect law. It's a really complicated law and with a lot of nonsense. But we have our foot into the door. So I'm growing again, just
Yeah.
free plants. You have to imagine, I'm glad and happy, but not satisfied because I can't hold mothers. I can't build up a library at the moment. I can't go on a hunt for genetics for phenos. It's impossible at the moment for me as a private person.
Can I ask about that? Do they
Please.
consider a plant having roots?
Yeah, we had some. Oh, this is now.
The reason why I was going to ask
Oh.
is, can you have tissue culture? Can you grow mother plants with no roots?
This would be the best argument because we dive somewhere into the law. In the law is written that a cannabis plant is a female plant with flowers, or at least with the beginning of flower, with the sexing,
Pistula.
yeah, with the pistils. And then there is the term Vermehrungsmaterial. Parts of the plant to reproduce. And we thought and we hoped, because this law isn't perfect and a lot of things will be determined in front of court. Yeah? And the judges are now saying that each plant with roots in soil, and even we have the problems that even the jiffies, the easy plugs, or the rock wool, that when it comes to the case that they come to your home and they find 25 plants and you have cuttings, the judge at the moment will bring it and say it's a plant, even if the law it's written different. And it's a fucked up situation. Really, this is why I'm teaching the people, or not teaching, but telling them, we are not legal. We are decriminalized. We still have to fight for a real legalization. Enjoy your new freedom, but don't get cozy on your fucking sofa. We have to go on the fucking street to fight for a real, for me, legal. It's okay if there is I'm not allowed to have more than 3 kilos at home. And it's okay for me, but it's not the case. It's 50 grams. I'm not able to grow 3 plants which are allowed to the maximum and say, okay, I keep all the flowers at home. And on the
50
street,
grams is very little.
It's nothing. It's one tiny plant. Yeah, I have here a little bit hanging, and it's nearly the half. So, and
Yeah, I mean, 50 grams, for instance, if it takes 2 months to grow, okay, and you're only allowed to have 50 grams, you're not allowed to have more than a gram a day.
so yeah, and this is exactly the thing. The law says that 50 grams of dried consumable flour, but I keep the dirty words away, but when they
Say
come
them in
and
German.
bust you, was für eine Scheiße. If they come and they bust you, which still occurs, and you are just a real good citizen, paying taxes and growing for your own, and don't bringing more than 25 G's on the street, you are even not allowed to share a joint with your friends. You are not allowed to share weed. Different story.
That's
We
part of the
are
culture.
not legal in Germany, okay?
Yeah.
We have to spread it to the world, but we have our foot in the door. So,
Everything starts somewhere, just so
Exactly,
you know. And I mean,
exactly.
it's still a great.
better
I mean,
than-
it's really late. This should have happened a long time ago, but this still is a really great first step.
Definitely.
And
I am also.
and then as we taught the government that this should be allowed, then eventually it'll be more and more, and then before you know it, there will be cannabis shops on every street like there is in big cities here.
The thing is, we as humans are impatient. And from an economical perspective, a 4 to 5 year rhythm in politics, or in economics, it's called 1 year of a human being. So the problem is that I learned, because now I'm so long time observing the process, and now we have new elections, the next problem. But what I want to say is that I know that now we can show the people that we don't become zombies smoking weed. So there will occur a higher acceptance. We have the highest when they make polls. Who wants to legalize, who don't want to legalize anymore, or further step. We have the highest acceptance, 52%. I continue there.
Yeah,
We
you
have the
continue.
highest, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
Gaby,
it's all
just
good.
maybe
All
because
good.
of yeah.
Yeah. We have the highest acceptance of legalization.
Am I throwing you off?
No. We have the highest acceptance of legalizations than ever. Yeah, but we are not legal. So, it's crazy, this law, and it would take a whole own podcast to go through the whole law and to explain
Yeah.
everything with home growing, with test projects, with cannabis social clubs, with the new elections being in front of us right now, and people being feared that this law will be, how you call it,
Repealed.
repealed. Crazy. So many people, 4.5 to 6 million people, as consumers, can be relieved that they are not criminal anymore, and they have to fear to become criminals again.
Well,
But I don't see that really. But I can't deny that I am also in a little bit of fear, because the whole world is going crazy, and we getting from a democracy to a, in the States, I don't want to talk about that, but also Europe, the shift to the extreme right is there. And really short, if I watch now which possible coalitions
Yeah.
are possible in
Correlation.
Germany, it's crazy. It's really, it's hard. If the Conservative Party, which is not the extreme right, they alone, they want to really to undo this law, and this is something they claim also. But they don't will have a coalition partner, because all the other parties who legalized, let's call them legalized parties, they are the only options in certain different combination to build
Government,
a government. But there is the huge amount of AfD right party, and also if the conservatives said they will work with them together, we don't know. And
It's
if this occurs, we are
uncertainty, yeah.
doomed.
Yeah.
So
You know,
also,
similar stuff has happened here too. You know, it's like the ebb and flow of the tide. Things get better and then they get worse. I mean, there was counties in California where they legalized it to grow, and then all these people set up their grows, and then the county changed their mind. You know,
the sheriff
So-
didn't want
yeah.
it to fulfill the law. I heard also.
Yeah. So I mean,
Crazy.
like I said, the similarities are
Yeah.
palpable.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay. So you said you wanted to tell the good side of the story.
Yeah, there are also definitely good parts now. You can grow free plants. It's a beginning. A lot of people are not criminals anymore, who never have been criminals. Yeah, who have been just consumers and lovers of the plant and took the decision to consume cannabis instead of other things after work. The beauty is that you see now the culture, the cannabis culture in Germany, which have been there all decades and was living under the surface. And from the moment, from the 1st of April, where the new law decriminalized cannabis, you saw so many small sachs popping up in all parts of Germany. For sure in the south a little bit less, where the Bavarians are. But the people lost the fear to say, yes, I'm consuming cannabis. And it's not that the big events have been pulled up. Really grassroots movement. I found a location. We have tables. Come around. Let's meet. Really, really low entry barrier, yeah? And the people were asking in the community, I live in this city, do you know where it is, something around? And no, fuck, here's nothing, okay, I have to travel 3 hours, but I want to meet people, even if I don't know one person. But other goes to a bar and start to drink and to talk. Where can I meet some people who smoke cannabis and start to talk with them about terps, about how I roll my joint, how I extract, how I wash, how I grow? The culture is alive.
Community.
And it's just the beginning.
Yes.
Is what it's so beautiful to watch. Everywhere cannabis events, small events, but doesn't matter. If 20 people meet or 30 people meet, what a moment. Yeah?
It's a seed germinating.
Yeah,
it's a seed that's
exactly.
beginning to grow, and it's going to get bigger and bigger.
The push of also the content I could do right now. I could show washing hash. Also, if YouTube tries to fuck me up and to age restrict the content, I could wash hash and inspire people to wash hash on the next level. I'm not a pro, I'm a student, but the beauty is that I am in touch with all the hash artists internationally and with every German hash artist. And I could ask and spend time with them washing. And again, from the forums to social media, from me having the possibility to be side by side with people washing on the highest level, transferring this knowledge to the whole community. And I can tell you in the last weeks and months, the level of hash home growers are washing from dirty sand to white stuff, and now drying without freeze dryer. We have really the air drying movement at the moment because the people can't afford a freeze dryer, but they want higher quality, so they go the painful way of simulating sublimation in just a freezer and sifting the hash and drying it with a vacuum and putting it back in the freezer without a freeze dryer. The community is building and sharing SOPs how to wash with the affordable tools, how to dry and how to press clear white rosin without being a pro. And this is what I'm standing up every day to push our movement, to push our community, to push the regular home grower to the next level, to inspire the people what's possible. And this is what's going on in Germany at the moment. And it's so beautiful to be part of that.
I
Really.
appreciate you letting us be a little part of it through you and to experience that excitement through you. Particularly for me, I mean, you're closer to Sasha than me, but it's a beautiful thing to watch this grow.
Yeah,
it really is. And yeah, I appreciate you sharing that enthusiasm with us, and we feel it. So, and like I said before, and I don't want to make you blush too much because I see that happens, is you're apparently doing it. It's not that you just that you want to teach people, you are. To the point that, the great teachers of the world are saying Vince is out there teaching people. And so I feel really lucky. I feel really lucky that you were able to join us today.
Thank you very much for the
I hope we can
invitation.
do it again real soon, because
Please.
I do want to get more specific about what's going on in Germany right now with the legalities.
Yeah.
And I don't think we got your whole story, so we should definitely have you come back as soon
we
as we
need
can arrange.
yeah, we need to
If you
talk about
like, we can.
genetics, man.
Yeah,
You know?
let's continue. Let's hop on the next episode or one of the next and start, which I think it's interesting. The whole legalization law giving process have been 2 years, sweating, hardworking years, and then the relief moment and the culture booming. And for sure, we also can then, when we talk about the German culture, also talk about a little bit more genetics. But I would love to have a deep dive with you about the last 30 months of German cannabis.
It's been a tremendous. It's been a lot of fun, buddy. I
Same on
appreciate
my
it.
side.
And one thing that I do want to add is that one of the great blessings of doing this show is that I've been making friends, all over the place, and I hope that this is the beginning of a friendship between us, because I can tell, like Sasha would say, is we're brothers, and like
Brothers
we
in
have
mind,
such
yeah.
similar experiences that I definitely hope that we stay in touch outside of this show.
Definitely. And I could stay here with you 2 more hours without thinking, because really
you need
it's-
you need to get to feed yourself and take care of your wife, but like I said, we'll schedule this again for real soon.